In this video, I'm going to talk about how to start your dance journey. So if you've been watching dancing on TikTok or on Instagram and you're like, man, that's so cool, I wish I had the confidence to do that. First, you need great teachers to start, and you need the mindset to start. What's up, you guys? My name is Anthony Martinez. I'm co-owner of Wave Studio Space, and I am a dance educator, and I use dance as a platform for mental health and human connection. Okay, let's talk about mindset. When we start something new, we're usually afraid, we're a little apprehensive because we don't know what we're getting ourselves into. Especially with dance, it is a performing art, so it's very vulnerable, and we tend to feel very nervous about it because we're afraid of judgment, we're afraid of embarrassment, and all the other things that come with feeling like we're not good enough. So in my beginner classes, I usually tell my students that you're gonna fail throughout the class, and failure is not only necessary, it's inevitable, and you're gonna always fail when you're learning in general. The biggest thing that I see when people start something new, like trying to learn dance, specifically choreography, is they'll try it, they will obviously mess up, especially during groups because they feel people watching them, and then they're like, oh, I can't do this. So they make up their mind at that moment where they're like, this is too hard, too stressful for me, I'm not gonna dance anymore. But if there's one thing all of us should know by now, especially if you're an adult, is that we're not gonna be good overnight. We're not gonna be masters at a skill in one day, right? In one class. But I feel that when things get hard, people tend to give up very easily because they're like, you know what, I don't need this. It was cool for what it was, but I'm just gonna do something else. So what's important is understanding that you are gonna mess up in class, and that's okay. You're not being judged by anybody. Everyone is focused on themselves. So our ego in our head is telling us like, don't do that, that feels weird, don't embarrass yourself. Those are just lies to try to protect you, right? It's our anxiety, it's our monkey brain trying to protect us from quote unquote danger. But there's no danger. You're just learning a class, okay? So instead of thinking about, wow, I'm gonna mess up and someone's gonna judge me, you should think about the positive things, be an optimist, okay? So a good example I give to my students is, how would you talk to your best friend if they were taking class, right? So if you saw your best friend in class and they were like messing up, failing, right? You're not gonna be like, oh my gosh, you suck, bro. Maybe if that is your humor together, that's fine. You guys can do that, but you're not gonna do that to a stranger, right? If you barely met someone in class, you're usually gonna be like, oh, it's okay, like you got it. You know, in your head, you're not gonna be like, man, they suck. Especially because you're a newbie too, and you're gonna feel vulnerable in the class. Another thing is when you get outside of your head and you start to pay attention to what's around you, you tend to feel less anxious in class because your focus is outside of you. And if you're like cheering people on, if you're like enjoying people and watching, being inspired by your teacher or your teammates or classmates, that tends to help relieve the anxiety because you're not so locked in this tunnel vision of, man, I need to do well, or I need to be at this certain level, or I need to be perfect at the end of class, right? So let's try to practice being outside of ourselves in spaces that are usually with community or in class settings. So there's a difference between freestyle and choreography classes. I do recommend learning about both if you can. Freestyle is the foundation of all dance, especially in the hip-hop community and the art forms that are adjacent to hip-hop, like locking, popping, whacking, etc. So if you were to do like some freestyle class or a foundations class, which is how they label it nowadays, like a foundations or like a grooves class, I highly recommend starting there because usually the instructor is teaching the students how to groove. They're teaching vocabulary in terms of what moves you're doing, like a kickball change or a bounce or a rock, and it helps you kind of just be repetitive in that movement and learn how to sway your body, use your knees, etc., etc. After feeling good about a foundations and or grooves class, I would then try to look for a teacher that is teaching beginner choreography classes. The majority of videos that we see on TikTok and on Instagram that go viral are choreographed. So that's kind of where you want to go after you learn the basics and how to move your body. And if you want to like actually get into freestyle, then you would pick an art form like breaking or locking to specify in and train with those crews. So that's like a whole different path. But if you're trying to learn choreography, in which by definition choreography means a combination of steps, grooves, poses, and you have to memorize it, right? So that you can do it together, or you could do it by yourself, but at least you remember it so you can do it over and over again. So finding the right teacher is super important, okay? There are choreographers out there that are really good and they are teaching classes, but I wouldn't call them teachers or educators. I would just call them really good choreographers that are having the opportunity to share their art, right? But you need to be smart, especially in the beginning stages of your career. You need to figure out and study and do your research on which teachers to take class from, especially if you're paying like a lot of money for classes. So what I would personally do is I would watch beginner choreography classes on social media. And if I liked what I see, I would call or message the studio that has this instructor and ask just about how they teach, or if they have any recommendations of beginner teachers that help with people that are barely learning. So I'm actually one of the teachers at Roots Dance Studio, and I strictly teach beginners on Friday nights. And usually I get a lot of new students because they're recommended by my other students, or they ask the front desk like, oh, which teacher should I take from? This is my first time. And they usually promote my class, since I am tending to beginners and their mindset and how to cultivate more confidence in the room and just help them feel as safe as possible while trying their best and understanding that you're going to fail at some point during the class. My approach is not for everyone. I think there are other teachers that might pierce through your mindset and kind of speak to you in a way where you relate to them more, but everyone's different. So I think it's important to try things out. Maybe you come to my class and you're like, that was fun, but let me try another teacher's class, and you might like them more just because they're a little bit more strict, or they might be a little bit more focused on just drilling choreography over the mindset of the dance itself. Before I move on, hope you guys like my video. Please share it, like it, comment, do whatever. And yeah, thank you guys for watching my video. Another great way I know people start without the pressure of being around other people and other students is just by learning tutorials on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram. And you can just film yourself at home, and basically you can kind of critique yourself and fix what needs to be fixed, and you can try it out in the safety of your own home. That's the cool thing about technology nowadays. You can utilize it in that way. But at the end of the day, it's super important to get in the spaces with other people, because foundationally at its core, dance is something that is very tied to community, especially in the hip hop world. It's done together. It can't be like by yourself at home. Obviously you can dance hip hop by yourself, but the cultural aspect of it is really being with other people, sharing your identity as a person in your movement, and having everyone kind of vibe together and have that energy build together. It's super electric when you're able to just vibe with other dancers, and when you learn choreography and work so hard to build a set or a routine, and then you finally have the chance to perform. It's only for that 2 to 5 minutes on stage, and it's such a crazy rush. But the whole point of it is to do it together, right? Like I said, you can do it by yourself. It's a different thing. But at its core, it's better to do it around other people and to learn class with other people too. Like I said earlier, when you focus on the students around you and cheering each other on and having that kind of positive energy, it does help your learning experience. And this has been proven psychologically that we tend to learn better when we're having fun and we're thinking outside of ourselves. So I'll be honest, learning choreography and just dance in general, it's so broad. There's such a broad spectrum of art forms and technique and vocabulary that it's not easy, and it's a skill that needs to be worked on pretty much every day if it's something that you want to be serious about. So you're not going to get better by just taking class and then you're like, okay, that was fun, and then the next week you take class. It's gonna take a long time. If it's something that you want to do just for fun, that's fine. But if it's something that you're like, I really want to boost my confidence, I want to get stronger physically, I want my mindset to be stronger in the outside world, dance can do that for you. But you have to be consistent, and you have to show up to class, and outside of class you have to take care of your body as well, which is a thing that a lot of people don't really talk about. But I think it's important to make sure your body is capable of doing the things in a dance class, which is like, you know, absorbing impact when you're like jumping up and down, and making sure you're stretched correctly so that you don't tear a muscle, and all of those things. The last thing I want to end with is that you are capable. I want to tell you guys that anybody can dance, and you all already dance by yourselves when you're like rocking your head. This is called a rock, a variation of a rock. But everyone does this in the car while they're driving, or, you know, at a party, and you like a song and you're doing this. That's already a freestyle. That's a great foundation already to start with. So anybody can do it. It's just about the mindset and starting and staying consistent. If you guys have any questions, I'm open to questions. You can DM me. Again, I teach all over, and I own my own studio in Long Beach. Hope this helps. I want to inspire more people to get into dance. Dance is super healthy for us. It's saved my life personally. So yeah, I hope it helps, and I hope you guys have a lovely day. Thanks for watching my video.